Welcome to Washington. I'm Shannon Bream in for Brett Baer. Donald Trump announced his communications team hours after he made headlines again via Twitter. One of Hillary Clinton's major lines of attack against Donald Trump during the campaign was that he lacked the temperament to have his finger on the nuclear button. Well, today, the president-elect tweeted that it's time for a major nuclear upgrade. Correspondent Peter Doocy has the latest tonight from West Palm Beach. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Shannon. The next White House press secretary, Sean Spicer, is a longtime ally of the next White House chief of staff, Reince Priebus, and he will be responsible for communicating with the public on behalf of a president who we saw again today doesn't always like it when people speak on his behalf.
It is time to drain the damn swamp.
The next president says one of his classic campaign lines isn't going anywhere, tweeting, quote, "Someone incorrectly stated that the phrase drain the swamp was no longer being used by me. Actually, we will always be trying to DTS." Turns out that someone was one of Mr. Trump's top surrogates. Just yesterday, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich said this of the famous line about cleaning up D.C.
I'm told he now disclaims that.
Today, Gingrich recanted, tweeting, quote, "I goofed. Draining the swamp is in. At Real Donald Trump is going to do it, and the alligators should be worried. Hashtag DTS. And on the day Mr. Trump received his second consecutive presidential daily briefing, he also tweeted this, quote, "The United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes." Mr. Trump was tweeting from Mar-a-Lago in Florida, and his daughter Ivanka headed that way from New York. She and her family were harassed by a passenger who disagrees with her father's politics. The passenger reportedly tweeted his intention to confront Ms. Trump and was so aggressive he was removed. JetBlue said in a statement, quote, "If the crew determines that a customer is causing conflict on the aircraft, the customer will be asked to deplane, especially if the crew feels the situation runs the risk of escalation during flight." So that flight manifest shrunk, but the Trump team grew today. In addition to naming longtime RNC operative Sean Spicer as press secretary, 3 other communications staffers from the campaign and transition, Hope Hicks, Jason Miller, and Dan Scavino, were given similar jobs at the White House. The president-elect is also forming a new White House National Trade Council and has asked the well-known China critic, Dr. Peter Navarro, to head it up, while giving Kellyanne Conway the title of counselor to the president, making her the highest-ranking woman in his White House.
And I think that when you have this opportunity, it's an honor, certainly, but it's also very humbling.
About a half an hour ago, the president-elect tweeted this, quote, "Based on the tremendous cost and cost overruns of the Lockheed Martin F-35, I have asked Boeing to price out a comparable F-18 Super Hornet." Remember, Mr. Trump met with the CEOs of Boeing and Lockheed Martin yesterday, said to reporters afterwards he thought he'd be able to get the cost of the F-35 down. So this is either him negotiating in public or moving on. Shannon?
All right, Peter. Well, a lot of tweets today. So how did the Trump team expand on the president-elect's tweet about wanting to expand the nuclear arsenal?
Something else we got late this afternoon from the transition office was a clarification. They say that when the president-elect talked about a desire to expand America's nuclear arsenal, he was just alluding or at least reminding people that there are threats out there from terrorists and rogue nations, and that the president does want to modernize the nuclear arsenal that America has. However, he only wants to do so to pursue peace through strength. Shannon?
All right, we will talk about that with the panel. Peter Doocy, thank you very much.